the 25, breaks a couple of tackles, and look at him go! He could go all the way! Touchdown!
Winning is not something, it's an moment. Winning is a habit.
What's up, sports fans? Welcome back to another episode of Gut Check Podcast. We're here because there's some big news in the world of the NFL draft, so we want to hop on and talk about that. With me, as always, good friend and co-host Seth Floyd Hansen. I know you're pumped about these moves. How you feeling, man?
Dude, I want to basically take credit for this trade that the 49ers made. Because I was literally texting you 10 minutes before. Maybe it wasn't 10. It was probably – I should go back and look at this timestamp.
It was pretty close.
It was like within an hour that I was texting you, and I said, hey, man, the Dolphins are being –
right here.
Yeah, I want to know what time it was at. Because I said, now that it's being reported the Dolphins are not interested in taking a quarterback. So I brought up, if you're like a team like the 49ers, wouldn't you want to make a trade for that pick right now, or does it benefit you to try and wait until the draft? And we talked about that for a quick minute, and then lo and behold, my phone starts blowing up. I think before I got notifications from like Bleacher Report and ESPN, I was getting text messages from like my dad and like people that just know I'm a 49er fan, just blowing it up, and
the insiders.
It was crazy. But it was crazy. We were just talking about it right before it happened. But very pumped. I'm exhausted already from all the conversations about what's gonna actually transpire at pick number 3. But it's gonna be a long April until the draft finally rolls around. That's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. We are almost exactly a month out from when we're recording this. So it's March 28th. Draft starts on the 29th of April. I was going over the text. You texted me at 8:30 in the morning, which is very
really
early for you. Are already talking football.
Yeah,
but I love it. 8:30. Well, 8:30 my time, I guess.
Okay, so 9:30 my time.
Yeah.
Oh no, 10. It would have been 10:30 my time. Yeah. Okay.
So reasonable for you, anyway. And then about 2 hours later, you said the trade went through. So you're about 2 hours ahead, but we were speculating there.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because we had talked, like, do you do the trade now before the draft, or do you go ahead and do it? I said it made sense for the Niners to do it now because they're probably going to go out for a quarterback. That's the only way you make that trade. It didn't make sense for the Dolphins because maybe they wanted to see who's going to be available at 3. They held all the cards, so they didn't need to move back. It looks like they did do the trade because they had another trade in mind. They didn't want to drop all the way to 12. They're happy, I assume, with this number 6 overall pick. So just again, to recap what officially happened, the Niners traded with the Dolphins up to 3. Dolphins fell back to 12, and then they traded with the Philadelphia Eagles to move up to 6. And now the Eagles are back down at 12, which we'll get into, and we won't necessarily cover all the details of all those trades, but that's really what's impacted that first round. And so just starting with the Niners, this move has to be for a quarterback. We've speculated Jimmy Garoppolo is on the hot seat. They're not necessarily satisfied with him. They want somebody else. The only reason I could think to move from 12 to 3 is you want a quarterback, and you want a quarterback who's going to play this year. And we can get into that. You got to be going either Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, I think, with this number 3.
I agree. There's no way you're giving up because they gave up a lot. Okay, you gave up it was just a pick swap this year. I mean, people keep saying it's 3 first rounders. It's not. It's a pick swap. Okay, you're getting the third one, but you're giving up 2022 first rounder, 2023 first rounder, and then next year you're giving up a third rounder as well. It's going to be for a quarterback. Okay, the only other speculation I've heard is what if they went and they really wanted Penei Sewell, which he's going to be great, but you're not giving up 2 future first-round picks to get Penei Sewell. You're just not, especially with – I know that Mike McGlinchey for the 49ers hasn't played well, but the Pro Football Focus had the 49ers ranked at the 9th overall offensive line last year. So clearly it's – I don't know. You're not making that trade for a tackle. The Niners are betting on they're giving up to them. It's worth it. If you hit on the pick, it's worth it because those that 2022 and 2023 first rounders, theoretically, if you hit, are going to be late 20s or at least in the 20s. And we don't want to overvalue first round picks. I know I'm pretty critical of the Rams that just throw away first round picks like candy. But guess what? They've had like a winning record, and they've been in the playoffs a bunch in the last since Sean McVay's been there. They don't ever pick in the first round, so we don't want to overvalue them. And I can't imagine they make this trade without being in love with a guy that they're confident is going to be there. And if that's two guys, if that's Wilson and Fields, then great, and you're happy with either one. But they wouldn't have made that trade unless Kyle Shanahan was like, I can win with either one of those dudes. Lot of speculation about Trey Lance. I want to know what your thoughts if the 49ers went Trey Lance at pick number 3.
Yeah. It just feels like that's a reach. I'm a little concerned with the track record of Carson Wentz, who flashed some greatness, but then was kind of a head case. Maybe that's just him. Maybe that's just Philadelphia. And he could be successful. He obviously showed that he had some talent. But I think that has to apply a little bit to Trey Lance. He's coming out of the same school, same coach, same system. Can that really translate? They almost look the same, right? They're big, athletic quarterbacks who aren't necessarily running quarterbacks, but they can make things happen with their legs out of the pocket, which is what you're looking for in a modern quarterback these days, I think. But I don't know that there's any signs that Trey Lance won't be available or wouldn't be available at 12, or, maybe as the draft is coming, you could have made this trade on the day of the draft. If the first 3 quarterbacks come off the board and now you have Lance sitting there, and it comes down to like the 6th, 7th pick. I got the draft order over here. Jaguars are getting a quarterback. Jets may not get a quarterback. But let's say they do, and then you had the Dolphins sitting there. They were at 3. They probably weren't going to get a quarterback. Some people saying they're moving on from Tua. I don't think they are now. Falcons could have gotten one. Bengals weren't going to get one. It just going down the line. I don't know that there was a lot of needs for quarterback where you could have gotten Trey Lance at 12.
Yeah.
So now, it has to be between Wilson and Fields. I'm growing on Wilson. The competition argument, he didn't play the same high level of competition like Justin Fields, but when he did play, he played extremely well, and he's got some of those athletic abilities. I mean, those throws on his pro day were pretty spectacular as well. So he looks like, again, that modern type of quarterback where they just need to scramble. Things are going to break down. You're not always going to have time in the pocket. You need to improvise and make things happen. That's not always just taking the ball down and running, but it's rolling to your left, throwing deep to your right. And he absolutely did that on his pro day. Justin Fields, similar thing. My concern is coming out of Ohio State. There's been a bad track record as well with the Urban Meyer quarterbacks, and then Ryan Day, same system. Those guys haven't panned out. Dwayne Haskins, Cardale Jones, RJ Barrett, not RJ Barrett, that's a basketball player.
TJ Barrett.
TJ Barrett. Yeah, one of those.
Yep.
One of those. Similar thing.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I don't think, like, a lot of people are picking saying Trey Lance, and I don't think anybody really thinks. Does anybody really think Trey Lance is going ahead of Justin Fields? Like, most things that I've read is that Trey Lance is more of a project, and that like more NFL personnel believe that. And so there's no way that it makes sense to make this trade that early if Trey Lance is your guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I would be a little disappointed. I could live with it if I would trust that if Trey Lance was the guy, that Kyle Shanahan just identified something in him that was like, hey, I have to have this. He's going to be the guy. But even then, that bothers me a little bit, because it feels like buying a Camry $20,000 overpriced. Like, you're going to get it. You're going to get a reliable car that's going to make you happy. But why do you overpay for it if you don't have to? Like, there's no conceivable way. Because I would bet money that Trey Lance, while I don't think he'll be there at 12, because I think as you see those quarterbacks go off the board, especially early, you're going to see teams get jumpy. But you didn't have to trade into 3. Like, he's going to – I wouldn't think so. But I would think you could have traded on draft night into the top 10 somehow to get your guy if Trey Lance was your guy. At least they would have kicked the tires on that. You know what I mean? They would have waited it out. So this feels to me, it feels very much like a Justin Fields, Wilson type of thing. Now, my thing about Fields, and I've been for a long time, have been a guy that's but very cautious of quarterbacks coming out of certain programs. Here's my one difference in like defense for Justin Fields, because you make all the points, like Ryan